Welcome back to Real Talk Behind the People Problem. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and today's episode is going to be a little personal. I'll give you a warning now, but we're going to talk about the impact that a leader can have on an employee's well-being. We talk a lot about what bad leadership costs an organization, the turnover numbers, the engagement scores, the bottom line impact, and all of that is real. But today I want to talk about something that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. It's what a right leader or the wrong one can do to a person. Their confidence, their mental wellness, their sense of self-worth, and their willingness to give everything that they have at work. I've been very fortunate throughout my career to have had leaders who've showed me what leadership is supposed to look like. And I've spent many years after that trying to be that person for every team that I've ever led. Here's what those leaders did that I've never forgotten. They asked for my opinion. They made me feel like I was part of something bigger. They had a vision and I was part of that. And when things got hard, they jumped into the weeds with me, not to take over, but to show me that they were in it with me side by side. They believed in me. They genuinely believed in me, and they gave me opportunities to learn things that I had never done before. That built my confidence in ways that I didn't even realize until I looked back many years later. Every single one-on-one that I had with them started the same way. How are you doing? And ended with, what can I do for you? That may sound like something small, but it's not. What that did for me as a professional and as a person was profound. I felt included, I felt empowered, and I worked harder than I ever had because someone believed in what I was capable of. That is what that type of leadership created for me. It wasn't just job satisfaction, it was a sense of belonging so deep that I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And even after we parted ways, I still have that connection with them today. Think about that. The professional relationship ended, but the relationship overall did not, because they knew me. They knew not the HR Alex, but they knew me. So here's a personal story that I wanted to share for perspective. In 2020, I lost my father to COVID. And anyone who's lost a parent knows that grief does not clock out at 5 p.m. It follows you everywhere, into every meeting, every conversation, every quiet moment when the work stops and the loss just kind of rushes back in. My leader at the time showed up for me in a way that I will never forget. They removed every work obstacle that they could. They told me I should take some time. And when I told them that I just wanted to work, because honestly, the distraction helped get me through those days, they respected that too. They were just there to support me. They called, they texted regularly, not to check in on the deliverables, but to check in on me. At that point, I didn't need a retention bonus to stay or a title change. I just needed to feel like a human during the worst moment of my life. And that leader made sure that I did. That is empathetic leadership. That is what the right leader can do for someone's mental wellness. It's a human being showing up for another human being during a very difficult time. Now, I want to talk about the other kinds of leadership because I've lived that one too. And I think it's just as important to talk about it, if not more important, because it's just far more common than any of us want to ever admit. I've had a manager where every interaction was purely transactional. There was no check-ins. Some of the one-on-ones never happened. There was no interest in what was going on in my life outside of work. If I missed a deadline, just fix it. No, is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help? It was literally just fix it and move on. I want to tell you what that did to me, not just professionally, but personally. But first, let me tell you what else was happening during that time, because it's not just the transactional interactions. This leader would ask me to do work, real work, quality work, and take full credit for it. No acknowledgement, no recognition, as if it never came from me at all. And then there was the busy work that I was given. Tasks assigned with no clear purpose, no vision behind them. I would pour time and energy into something only to be told, we no longer need that. I felt like I was running in circles. I was constantly moving, but going nowhere. No direction, no North Star, just do this, now do that. Now forget both. It was that easy. That combination, being invisible when the work was good and my time being wasted when the work was pointless, just totally disconnected me from my role entirely. I stopped feeling like a contributor. I stopped feeling like my skills mattered. My productivity dropped, not because I stopped caring, but because I had been given no reason to believe that what I was doing was actually making a difference. It lowered my confidence substantially to the point where I felt like I should just leave because I felt like I wasn't enough. I started second guessing myself in everything that I did. I was lying awake in the middle of the night asking, what did I miss? Was that report accurate? When I knew it was. But I was just in that environment that had gotten so deeply inside my head that I couldn't trust my own judgment anymore. I started getting sick more often. My immune system was shot. I went to urgent care countless times thinking that I was having a heart attack or something else, and it was just related to work. I remember locking myself in my office, and I'm someone who's always loved walking around, connecting with people, being present and being visible. That's who I am as a leader. But in that environment, I retreated. I isolated. because the energy out there just felt unsafe for me. I kept telling myself, this shall pass. It's just a valley. Keep going. And I dealt with it until I could feel something close to depression coming on. And I knew I was left with no choice. The day that I start dreading coming to work and the day I feel like I don't want to be there, that's the day that I need to make a decision to make a change. And in some cases, I moved into another role. In other cases, the leader eventually left and things got much better. But either way, I made the decision to do something for myself. I spoke up, and it wasn't easy, but I felt satisfied knowing I had advocated for my own well-being. I share this only because I know someone listening right now is probably going through this on their own. And I want you to hear this from someone who has been there. You are enough. It's the environment that's the problem. It's not you. So here's what I want every leader listening to take from these stories. Every single day, the way you show up for your team, it's either building them up or breaking them down. There's no middle ground. The leader who asks, "How are you doing?" and means it, who jumps into the weeds, who believes in their people, who gives credit where it's due, who shows up during grief and loss and during hard seasons, that leader creates employees who give 110%, who stay connected even after the professional relationship ends. The leader who takes credit for their team's work, who assigns busy work with no vision and cancels it just as fast, who measures people only by output and never sees the person behind the role, that leader creates a disconnection. That leader creates self-doubt, drop in productivity, chest pains, sleepless nights, and families who feel the weight of it on a Sunday evening. And here is what most leaders do not realize. It's not one thing that breaks a person. It's an accumulation, the work that went nowhere, the deadline with no empathy behind it, the one-on-one that never asked how you were doing. It compounds quietly until one day someone is sitting in urgent care with chest pains and it's just stress. Both of those outcomes are a leadership choice. You need to make the right one. Let me give you some numbers because I know some of you need to see this in black and white. According to a 2025 State of the Workplace report, which has surveyed over 26,000 employees, HR professionals, and CEOs over the past decade, they're saying that U.S. companies are putting $180 billion at risk annually due to attrition at organizations perceived as unempathetic. That's $180 billion. This is not a soft number. Employees at unempathetic organizations are 1.5 times more likely to leave within the next 6 months, and 3 times more likely to view their workplace as toxic. And they report 1.3 times more mental health issues, which feeds directly into absenteeism and productivity loss. Now let's flip this. A Catalyst study found that 76% of employees with highly empathetic senior leaders reported being engaged compared to 32% at less empathetic organizations. And 61% reported being innovative versus only 13% where empathy was missing. All this to say, empathy, again, is not a soft skill. It is a business strategy, and the data has always been there to back it up. Some people just don't believe it. But before I let you go, here's your homework for this week. You knew that was coming. 1, start with your next one-on-one with, "How are you doing?" and end it with, "How can I help you?" These 2 questions, that simple structure will begin to change every relationship you have with your team. 2, think about someone on your team who has gone quiet lately, who seems that they're just going through the motions. Reach out to them, not about work, about them. You may be surprised what you find and the difference it makes that you even noticed. 3, ask yourself honestly, does my team feel safe enough to tell me when they're struggling before it affects their performance or before it becomes a crisis? If the answer is no, or I don't know, that's your starting point. Empathetic leadership is not a personality trait you either have or don't have. It's a practice. It's a decision made every single day. I shared these stories today because I think leaders need to hear the full picture, not just the inspiration, the reality. The right leader can make someone feel like they found a place that they could retire from, can hold someone together through grief, can build confidence in a person that lasts a lifetime. But the wrong leader can make someone lock themselves in their office, can send them to urgent care with chest pains, and can make their family feel the weight of it on a Sunday night. Both of those outcomes start and end with leadership. I did something for myself when I needed to. I have spent every year since then making sure that people on my team never have to. That is the standard. That is the work. So my question to you today is, what kind of leader do you want to be? Drop a message in the comments and also share some stories of the good leaders or the bad leaders that you've had in the past. Let's talk about it. See you next week.